All right, how's everybody doing today? I hope everybody's doing good. This is the last chapter of Bud Not Buddy, and I just want to remind you guys that the reason I picked this book was because it was a story, and I keep saying it again, a story about a 10-year-old boy who persevered through a lot of stuff and had a lot of heartbreak. Mom died, didn't know who his father was, and was willing to walk 2 days actually, to go visit, to go find out if Herman E. Calloway was his father or not. And so I just wanted to encourage, I hope the story encouraged you. I hope the story, showed you how strong the human heart can be when it really wants to be. And I know it's a difficult time right now, but I know you guys are making the best of every situation. So anyways, we are now at the point right now where Miss Thomas, Miss Thomas, I believe her name is. Yes, she's telling she's telling Sleepy LeBone that Herman just found out that his daughter is dead or might passed away. And so he's very devastated about it. And Miss Thomas is mourning too and everything. So this is where the rest of the dusky devastators of the Depression come on by. All right. Doo-Doo Bug said, "Hey, Sleepy LeBone, where's everybody at?" I didn't want to embarrass anyone by saying that all the grown folks were sitting all over the house sobbing their eyes out. So I said, "They're around." I remember not to call the band sir. Steady said, "Well, it's you we wanted anyway." He put an old cardboard suitcase on the table and said, "I told the fellas how hard you've been hitting that recorder and how proud I was of you. So we put a couple nickels together." He acted like he was yelling into the other room. "And Lord knows on the peanuts we get, it was a real sacrifice." He slapped some skin with Dirty Deed and started talking regular again. "Anyway, the thug saw something at the pawn shop and we picked it up for you." "Can I open it?" The thug said, "Well, if you don't, I don't know who will." Eddie slid the cardboard suitcase over to in front of me. He looked worse than the one I used to carry around. One of the stamps on it was busted clean off and the other one was stuck. Steady Eddie said, "It's what's inside that's interesting. Just pull on that snap real hard." I pulled on the snap and it came off right in my hand. The thug said, "I knew it. The boy's just too country. He ain't used to handling fine merchandise. We should have given it to him in a paper bag." I opened the suitcase. Whatever it was wrapped up in crinkly, wrinkly newspapers. I started pulling newspapers off and could tell that their gift was real heavy. All of a sudden, a shiny piece of gold showed through. I snatched more paper off and couldn't believe my eyes. The dusky devastators of the Depression had put their money together and had bought me a baby-sized horn like Steady Eddie's saxophone. Steady Eddie could see I was stuck, so he lifted it out of the suitcase and fished around in the bag for the mouthpiece, the neck, and the reed holder. He sucked the reed for a minute, put the horn together, then played it. "Man, my horn sounded great." Eddie said, "It's an alto, Bud. There's a little rust in some of the seams, but that's to be expected with a horn this old. Sorry, excuse me. It still got a good tone to it. This dent didn't throw her off too much." He showed me a big dent on the bottom part of my saxophone. I repatted, refelted it, and resprung it. "The rest is up to you." He reached in his pocket and took out a can that said Brasso on the side. "Get you a rag and shine her up. A man should polish his own horn." I looked at my bandmates and said, notice he said bandmates instead of the band. I looked at my bandmates and said, Thank you very, very much. I'll practice on this so much that I'll be just as good as you guys are in about 3 weeks." Doo-Doo Bug said, "Ooh, now that's cold." I said, Really, I will." The band laughed, so I did too. Eddie said, "Well, Mr. LeBone, I'll tell you what. Since you're so hot to get in this band, I'd better get you started on your lessons right away." He pulled a big silver watch that was tied up to a long chain out of his pocket and said, "I'm going by Tyler's for a while now, but I'll be back around 7. If you've got your axe polished up by then, I'll bring some sheet music along and we can get started. Sound good?" His toothpick jumped with each word. "Sounds great, Steady." Eddie took the strap off his neck and handed it to me. I put it on and Eddie handed me my saxophone for the very first time. It was the perfect weight. I said, "Can I be excused?" Dirty D said, "What, you ain't gonna blow us some notes? We want to hear what you got, Mr. 3 weeks from now." I said, "I'll let you hear me in 3 weeks when we're all on the stage together." They laughed again and the thug said, "I'm gonna let you in on something, Sleepy LeBone. There's certain members of this band that you will be out playing in 3 weeks, but it's gonna take you a whole lot longer to top me. On the real tip, it's gonna take you at least 10 years before you're able to even hold my drumsticks." Steady Eddie said, "Yeah, and that's about 9 years and 10 months longer than you be with the band, thug." The thug said, "Oh man, you ain't gotta start that up again. You gotta let me know what you heard." I said, can I be excused? Eddie said, go ahead on, Sleepy Bone, I'll be back. I told my bandmates, thank you again, thank you very much. The thug said to it, the thug said, nothing to it, little man. Dirty Deed said, now don't let that horn whip you, son. Doo-Doo Bug said, our pleasure, Sleepy. Steady Eddie said, man, get out of here. I picked up both of my mama's pictures, my horn and the can of brasso, and ran upstairs. When I got upstairs, I saw that Herman E. Calloway's door was still open a crack. Miss Thomas's door was closed now, and I could hear the two of them in her room talking real soft to each other. I could have stood outside the door and listened if I wanted to, but that would have been rude. Besides, I didn't know for sure how long it would take me to polish up my new horn. I went into my mother's room and put my sacks on the bed that my mama used to sleep in when she was a little girl. I put her smiling picture on the dressing table, then reached under her bed and pulled my sax case out again. I snapped the 2 silver snaps and started taking out all of my things. I took my old blanket out and remade my bed with it. I wasn't going to need to carry it around with me anymore. I opened the tobacco pouch and took out the rock that said Flint on it and set it on the bed. I took the pouch and the flyers and walked down the hall to Herman E. Calloway's room, even though I could still hear him and Miss Thomas talking and boo-hooing in her room. I knocked on his door anyway. When no one answered, I opened it. He had one of those dressing tables with a mirror stuck on the back of it too, so I walked real quick over to it and set the flyers and the bag of 4 rocks down. I got out of his room as fast as I could. Whew! Even though it was me who carried them around for all these years, you'd have to be a pretty big liar if you'd say those rocks and flyers really belonged to me. Herman E. Calloway's name was all over the flyers and his writing was all over the rocks. Besides, the way he'd looked so shook up when he saw those rocks for the first time, I figured they meant more to him than they did to me anyway. I went back over to Mama's dressing table and opened the little drawer. I took one of the thumbtacks out and went back to Mama's bed. Next, I took out the envelope that had her picture in it. I took out the picture of her riding the sad, saggy pony. I still couldn't see what she was so unhappy about. The Miss B. Gotten Moon Park looked like somewhere you could have had a lot of fun. I poked the thumbtack into the top of Mama's picture and walked to the wall that she stuck all the pictures of horses on. I put Mama right amongst all those ponies she liked so much. I didn't need to carry that doggone picture around. This wasn't how I remember Mama anyway. Mama was always excited and jumpy, not sad and pokey like this little girl. Mama was kind of old when I met her too. She wasn't young like this picture at all. The picture looked like it belonged. It's strange the way things turn out. Here I'd been carrying Mama around for all this time, and I finally put her somewhere where she wanted to be, back in her own bedroom, back amongst all her horses. I went back to the bed and picked the flint rock up. It was gonna be enough. I didn't need those other things with me all of time. I didn't need them to remind me of Mama. I couldn't think about her anymore if there were 100 hours in every day and 1,000 days in every week. I couldn't think of my Mama any better than I already do. All I have to do is remember her hand on my forehead when she'd ask me something like, "Baby, are you sick? Have you got a temperature?" All I have to do is remember Mama letting me dry the dishes after she'd washed them, how she used to say no one in the world could dry a plate the way I could. All I have to do is take 2 or 3 deep breaths and think of all the books she read to me at night. And remember that no matter how long it took, she'd read until I went to sleep. Okay. Desmond Malone was right. I was carrying Mama inside of me, and there wasn't anyone or anything that could take away from that or add to it either. The 1 rock from Flint would be enough. I set it in my suitcase. I picked up my saxophone. It was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. I wet the reed the same way I'd seen Steady Eddie do, then clamped it on the mouthpiece. I closed my eyes and counted to 10. If after I got to 10 I blew the horn and it sounded pretty good, I knew I'd be playing along with the Dusky Devastators of the Depression in a week or 2. If I didn't sound so good, it meant I'd have to practice for a couple months before I'd be good enough to get on stage with them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I puffed my cheeks and blew as hard as I could. The saxophone only squeaked, squawked, and groaned, and sounded like it was making up words like "aronk, aruzuga," and "balupa." Shucks, maybe I didn't puff my cheeks out right. Maybe I was blowing too hard. I counted again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This time the horn only squeaked, squawked, and groaned. It didn't sound like it was trying to make up any words. It sounded great. It wasn't perfect like when Steady blew it, but I could tell that one day it was gonna be. Something told me I could learn how to play this. Something told me that those sounds were more than just bad notes. If you didn't have a real good imagination, you probably think those noises were the sounds of some kid blowing a horn for the first time. But I knew better than that. I could tell those were the squeaks and squawks of one door closing and another one opening. I looked at the picture of Mama that Miss Thomas gave me. Mama was looking right back at me with that same soft smile. I know it's stupid to smile back at a picture, but I couldn't help myself. I know it's even stupider to talk to a picture, especially when it hadn't said anything to start a conversation. But I had to say, here we go, Mama. Only this time, I can't wait. I closed my eyes and began practicing. Shucks, as good as things were going for me now, I'd bet you dollars to donuts that Steady Eddie was going to get here early. All right, so here's an afterword that I thought I'd read to you guys. Just for the record, Mrs. Chen is crying right now because she's, a little more emotional than me. Kind of like the Dalkey relationship that's going on over at the Dalkey household. So Bud Not Buddy is a fictional, but many of the situations Bud encounters is based on events that occurred in the 1930s during a time known as the Great Depression. And all the characters are fictional. Some of them are based on real people. Okay? So the author says, one of the most enjoyable parts of writing is that an author can combine his or her imagination with the traits of real people to build new characters. And this is what I did to create the characters of Lefty Lewis and Herman Calloway, both of who are based on his grandfathers. My mother's father, Earl Lefty Lewis, was one of 6 or 7 Radcaps who worked at the train station in Grand Rapids. Okay? He did exceptionally well during the Depression, supporting his family and the tips he received as a Redcap. Earl Lefty Lewis also pitched for many years in the minors of the Negro Baseball Leagues. His fondest memory of that time was pitching twice against Satchel Paige. Satchel Paige is widely considered the man, one of the best pitchers in all of baseball of all time. So that's why I want you to focus on today. I want you to look up Satchel Paige. It's spelled Satchel, just like the satchel, and Paige. But Paige is spelled Paige. I want you to tell me as much as you can and much you find out about Satchel Paige and interesting facts and the teams he played on. His father's father, Herman E. Curtis, was indeed a big band leader for most of his adult life. He actually had a band. The actual name of the band was Herman E. Curtis and the Dusky Devastators of the Depression. So the band's name is actually based on a true story. He played the bass fiddle and he was also a violinist. But Grandpa Curtis was an orchestra leader at night, but he was a chauffeur, a boat captain, and a truck painter. He owned businesses in Grand Rapids and Wyoming, Michigan. Did not realize there was a Wyoming, Michigan. You can look that up too. So anyways, here's some pictures. Herman E. Curtis, Dusky Devastators, so that's the band right there. And that's Lefty Lewis in the the minor leagues of the Negro Baseball League. So interesting. So I encourage you guys to write some stories now. Use your imagination and combine character traits of people that you know. That's one of the things we did in creative writing when we were doing fictional writing, narrative writing. So I really enjoyed the book. I hope you did too. We'll be starting a book called Holes on Monday. That was a request by Miss Rodriguez in 5th grade. So anyways, have a great weekend. I hope you guys are doing well. Stay safe, wash those hands, and I will be talking to you guys soon. Bye.